Welcome to Oriental Obsessions, a 9-course banquet of Asian specialties interpreted by some of America's great chefs. Join the celebration with Lawrence Chu and James Liu in Los Altos, California, Chris Yeo and Elka Gilmore in San Francisco, Susanna Fu in Philadelphia, and from New Orleans, Frank Wong and his brother James. James Wong is the eldest of 5 brothers. Their 2 restaurants have made the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain an unlikely target for Chinese food lovers in New Orleans. He opens our feast with a spin on the classic winter melon soup, except he uses an acorn squash.
I'm using the acorn squash to make the light soup. Everybody going to the light dishes right now, so this will be real light and delicious. You know, traditionally we use the winter melon. That's much bigger, and it will serve 10 people. But this just enough to serve for 1. Okay? And get the seeds off the top. And here's, I got some dry scallop and the dry mushroom. You soak this in the water first. Okay, here. This is the chicken stock. I got little salt and pepper in there, and then you preheat this. Then you put the soup in. And then you chop in the scallop and put a piece of mushroom on top. Okay, then you get a little dish and put it on, and then put the cover bed on. Put this on the wok to steam.
The squash is covered and steamed for half an hour.
All right. This one I already been steamed for 30 minutes. Okay, you put it here. And right here I also, okay, right now I open up and add a little crab meat in there. Oh, look at that. Okay. Okay. That smells good. Yeah.
Susanna Fu was born in China, raised in Taiwan, then came to America and added French technique to an already solid background in Hunan cooking. She's not afraid to buck tradition, as she proves with her dim sum, crabmeat shumai. Notice her substitution of vodka for traditional rice wine. It's begun by roughly dicing peeled veined shrimp.
You cut the shrimp into small sizes. This is about a half pound of shrimp. After you cut it, then I'm going to use the Cuisinart to I want to use the Cuisinart, but I don't want to be too fine. So I want it still has a little bit texture into the shrimp.
The shrimp will be added to 1 egg white based mixture.
I'm going to mix the egg white with this is one teaspoon of salt and white pepper powder. I'm going to put the pork fat, and this is optional if you don't like to use, but for Chinese tradition, we always use a pork fat.
This is 2 ounces of fat, finely chopped.
You try to separate the pork fat and into the egg white. Then you add sesame oil, 1 tablespoon, and you add ginger. The very fine grind the ginger. Then you add the scallion. Chop the scallion. 2 chopped scallion white. I want to show you the Chinese fresh water chestnut. See, this is no good, this one. And it's very hard to buy good water chestnut because they're coming from China. Flight from mainland China.
The peeled water chestnuts are rinsed in cold water, then processed. Next, the half pound of diced shrimp is mixed in. Then the processed water chestnuts are added.
The fresh water chestnut, there's nothing to be compared because it's so wonderful, and it has a crunch, fresh taste, and the canned one, just no comparison.
Shumai stuffing is finished with chopped coriander stems and lump crab meat.
1 pound of crab meat lump, which I'm going to add half, which is about half pound of crab meat lump. I don't want to stir too much, then break the crab meat lump.
The stuffing will go into very thin wonton wrappers, which are cut into 3-inch rounds.
What I do is I use, if you can buy round one, that's fine. If you cannot, then I use a cutters cut into a round shape.
A quick addition before the dumplings are made.
I think there is a little bit of vodka I forgot. For most of the Chinese, they like to use rice wine, and I just think there's so many other choices, which is wonderful. I like to use vodka and gin a lot for fish course. What I do is I put the stuffing all over the whole wrapper, and then I just go around to squeeze out.
Each shumai is garnished with chopped bell pepper and coriander.
Can you use your hand?
A sous chef assists Susanna with stuffing. Note the way he uses the knife. The dumplings go into a bamboo steamer. They steam for about 10 or 11 minutes. Garnish includes a red bell pepper sauce. The peppers were softened in oil, then joined with about a cup of chicken stock, processed. Then strained and rewarmed for presentation. Blanched pea shoots also garnish.
Put pea shoots in the center.
Chris Yo's Straits Cafe is one of the few settings in San Francisco that offers genuine Singaporean cooking. He's on the cutting edge of one of the hottest new Oriental trends, and he comes by it naturally. The structure of Singaporean cuisine is really an ethnic quadriform consisting of Malaysian, Indonesian, Indian, and Chinese cookery. And a mixture called rempah is axial to it. A wonderful flavor factor, it's used much as garam masala in Indian cookery and can serve as the base for a sauce, a component in the cooking, or as Chef Yo demonstrates, a marinade. The second appetizer is a chicken satay, which the chef begins by identifying his rempah ingredients.
This is fennel, this is cumin, this is coriander, sugar, salt, turmeric, kalanga, and lemongrass, onion and garlic.
Incidentally, galanga is a member of the ginger family and is essential in Singaporean cooking. It's described as having a medicinal taste and a slight mustardy smell. Chef Yo blends the so-called wet ingredients, sliced lemongrass, shallots, onion, garlic, and galanga. He has added about a quarter cup of water to facilitate pureeing. After the mixture has developed, the dry ingredients go in, beginning with turmeric. Meanwhile, the fennel and cumin are ground. It should be noted that they were lightly toasted before grinding.
Okay. Coriander. Okay.
Sugar and salt complete the marinade. In Indonesian cooking, satay is often found at street stands and is a popular snack or appetizer. With this recipe, cubed chicken will be marinated, but beef, lamb, and even seafood can be used.
So you can marinate this for about at least 2 hours before it tastes good. So
The chef says that it is preferable to marinate overnight. Before cooking, the meat is skewered. The wooden skewers were soaked in water for about 1 hour. Here, Chef Yo cooks the chicken on a griddle. But with traditional Indonesian cooking, a charcoal-fueled grill is generally used. Cook the satay for about 3 minutes, then turn and cook for about 4 minutes on the second side. Note that the chef continuously flattens the meat with a spatula. Straight's chicken satay is served with a Malay peanut sauce with a rempah base. The red color and oil on top is characteristic and is a result of stir-frying the raw rempah with red chili paste and oil. Chef Lawrence Chu was born in Szechuan, China, and immigrated to the U.S. at the age of 19. His first restaurant was a fast food joint that offered 12 takeout items. Located in Los Altos, south of San Francisco, it's rather more than that today, and provides a perfect setting for his dynamic food, like this entree, Szechuan dry braised prawns.
Today I'm taking you to the province of Szechuan. I have some hot braised prawn. What we're having here is a pound of a large tiger prawn, a 2630, that gives you the size. It comes like this, and make sure it's nice and translucent, the prawn. You remove the shell, make sure remove the little shark fin right there. But it's nice to keep the tail right there, and to add a little more touch to it. That's how you did it. And what we're doing right here is try to marinate the prawn. Marinate the prawn to make the prawn tender, also add a flavor to it, also will give a body to it. What we did we put in salt and pepper. Salt and pepper will give it a little flavor to the prawn, and egg white and cornstarch. egg white and cornstarch will give a body to it. This body will seal the juice and also give it the extra coating outside, make the prawn much larger. Okay, that's the prawn right there. Before we do that, let's get oil ready. You don't need too much oil. If you had a cup of prawn, you probably need 2 cups of oil. Okay, keep about 300 degrees, lukewarm. Let's back right here a little bit. Prawn is a main ingredient. After marinate and set aside, you also have the spice and seasoning. What kind of spice will I have here? And we'll have a garlic. We need 3-4 garlics. The best way to cook garlic, in garlic we'll call crush, minced garlic. You crush them first and put together. You crush, that's called crush. And then you mince like this. You mince the garlic.
Also minced ginger.
Okay, and then you pile together. You slice them first, and it's shredded, finely shredded, and you minced it. Use a back of cleaver like this. You have ginger and garlic, and also you need a half yellow onion, and you cut it, but you do not cut all the way through. You cut it the size you want it. This way you can able to hold it. So make sure that the back attached together, and then you cut it like this. Hundreds of thousands. If you use a lot of onion, this is not a bad idea to use this particular method. Lots of. Now that's the spices. What else is making the spicy hot is a chili paste. Those are the imported, or you can use local chili paste as well. This has a little garlic flavor in there, so it's very nice. Now also you have a little bit of ketchup, soy sauce, sugar, added together. As I give this sauce, get it ready here, set it aside. Okay, and I also have a little bit of rice wine, a little bit of sesame oil, set aside. After prawn marinated with egg white and cornstarch, got all seems all glued together. But we know the purpose of this, we try to seal the flavor inside the prawn. That's the reason prawn so tender and juicy, so succulent. That's the reason why I say, gosh, Chef Chu, the dishes taste so good, the prawn so tender, because you're going to the next step, not just stir fry them. You oil blanching them. Oil blanching them will create that thing. Watch carefully. The oil blanching is put it in the oil. The oil is greater than the prawn. It looks like you deep fry them. Actually, it's a partial cooking. As the temperature right now is 300 degrees. Immediately, the egg white and cornstarch will start to form the light crust outside. You can see the shrimp almost is popping right now. So quick. Oil blanching not only can create a light crust outside to keep the juice inside the prawn, but also will help you control the texture the way you want it. Watch how fast that is. Also will help you shorten your overall cooking time. This is the beauty of it when it comes to cooking. We don't need too much. We do not need too much oil. As I poured it out, I left about another 2 tablespoons oil here. The first thing first was called dry braised. Dry braised actually, that means we do not put any more liquid in there. The braised usually you put a lot of liquid in there, let them reduce the sauce to half. That's called the braised. The first thing we stir fry is the chopped onion. Let the flavor release to the wok. Garlic. And ginger. Do not put a chili sauce yet, but let the flavor come out. Let brown the sauce a little, brown the spices a little bit, let the flavor come out. You can actually smell. Very important. You look the sting, look the ingredient changing color, so you know when you proceed. Sometimes, of course, you have smelled a little bit. You also have to listen to the sizzle so you know when you proceed. This time, chili. How much chili? It all depends how hot can you take it. How much can you tolerate it? The hot. I like a hot. But some people only like a hot. So it's up to you. Stir fry a little bit. You can smell the chili. You can smell the ginger. You can smell the onion from the combination of sauce. But this time, you put a sauce in there. This is a ketchup, soy sauce, sugar. Simple as that. Very easy dishes. And a very, very popular dishes in our restaurant. When the sauce is all combined together, you return the prawn into it. And this time, don't forget. And some people like water blanching. The broccoli very, very wilted. I want it nice and crunchy al dente. And here, toss a little bit. Toss like that, like this. Professional people like do this. Just show a little. And a little bit of sherry. Touch of sherry. And oyster flavor sauce. Okay, at this time, you also need some green onion to give a little color to it. Take about a 30 seconds to braise them. The dish is finished. Sort of a garnish with broccoli. This is a nice contrast. The prawn is tender and juicy. Broccoli is crunchy, and lots of vitamin there too. So this is great dishes. Not only tasty, and very beautiful dishes, and very healthy dishes. Just right. So the broccoli, fur just circle around it. This is beautiful Szechuan style hot braised prawn.
One of San Francisco's hottest seafood restaurants is Elka, located at the Miyako Hotel in Japantown. Owner chef is Elka Gilmore, who, like a number of young Americans, has no trouble freewheeling between ethnic influences. Her cooking is called Franco-Japanese, but it's hard to pin down, like this hamachi with truffle herb salad.
So I'll talk about a little bit about this hamachi. This is fresh hamachi from Japan. It's yellowtail tuna and it's farm raised. Until very recently, the only way that you could get hamachi from Japan was frozen, because the technology in the farms was to blast freeze it to kill it. But recently, there's a new company that's killing it fresh and shipping it fresh. So this is fresh, and you can see texturally very different, really, really buttery. The frozen hamachi was also a good product, but this is really extraordinary. And we're going to season it and toss it in chopped mixed herbs, and then sear it lightly and chill it down. So this is chopped chervil, chive, and parsley. This dish is interesting because each bite has a different flavor because of the intensity of the herbs, and we serve it with an herb salad that's whole pieces of herbs. So you get a very unusual kind of intense flavor sensation with each bite, and it's very different. This is kind of a good example of the kind of food that we do at Elka, because it's a mixture of Eastern ingredients with sort of Western technology and Western flavors. You just, on all sides, you don't want to get a lot of color, you just want to lightly cook the herbs to bring out the flavor.
After the tuna is seared on all sides, it should be refrigerated before presentation.
And then it's a question of putting together a compote of leeks and truffles and a little herb salad. So I'm going to take a blanched leek, a leek that's been just cooked pretty completely in water. I'm going to dice it, and it's cooked a little bit more than normal, because we're really making almost like a compote for the bottom of the plate. And then we're going to take truffle. This is a black truffle from France. And dice that also. We've done this dish without truffle, and it's excellent. I think that the earthiness of the truffle, though, really marries well with the flavor, with the richness of the hamachi. So it's a good combination. I guess it depends on how luxurious you're feeling, how much truffle you use, but we use about 1 to 10, a little salt and pepper, and then a truffle vinaigrette, which is just truffle oil, reduced truffle juice, a little more chopped truffle, and some sherry vinegar. And that's the end of that. That goes in the center of the plate. And then the garnish is whole herbs, parsley, chive, chervil, a little more vinaigrette, just a tiny bit, and some more sliced truffle, and a little fried shallot. So shallots that have been dipped in flour and then lightly deep fried. And then the hamachi. We cut it fairly thick. And you want to use a very sharp knife to do this. And as you can see, it's almost completely raw, like sashimi. This dish can also be done with ahi tuna, but as I said, the sort of the richness of the hamachi, I think, marries really well with the flavors in the truffles. A little bit more vinaigrette. Really for the crispness and a little bit of the sweetness of the shallot. And that's voila.
Another entree course is offered by Frank Wong at Tre Yen, north of New Orleans. All of the Wong brothers cook, and none have a problem incorporating Louisiana product into their dishes. It's not unusual to find crawfish and alligator on their menu. Here's another example, beef Q, using ribeye steak instead of the typical flank steak.
Today I prepared that steak Q over with asparagus. First I prepared asparagus here. Try to cut down the top parts away so the asparagus will be tender and nice. I like to put in the boiling water. And cook until the boiling, but after the water boiling by 1 minute, take them out. In the same time, I prepare my steak. That's a ribeye steak over here. I like the texture of the steak. If you like that, you can use sirloin steak or filet mignon. It depends on the type of meat you like. Cut on to the Q side, but little bit bigger than a 1 1/4 inch.
Meanwhile, the blanched asparagus is finished.
Have the asparagus run into the cold water and start the cooking.
Shiitake mushrooms are prepped.
Slice 2-piece ginger and garlic. And the green onion, only use the white parts. And right now I marinate a ribeye steak. Put a little salt, dash white pepper, some egg white, and cornstarch. Use that to marinate the meat. Reason to doing that is that egg white and the cornstarch will seal the steak and keep the juice and moisture in that, so the steak will be tender and juice. First, what I do is heat the wok up and put a little wine in it.
Chicken stock is also added. Note that the components of the dish are stir-fried separately before being combined.
We heat that asparagus, put a little salt and pepper there to get them have the taste.
Next, the shiitake mushrooms.
Little sherry wine. Salt and pepper. Put a little soy sauce in it. And so get a taste into the mushroom first. Before you're cooking, get a bowl, put some cornstarch in it, little sugar, salt, dash of pepper, oyster sauce, soup stock, and a little sesame seed oil. And the soy sauce. And mix all up the sauce first, so at home it's easier for you to do, and that you are ready, because you don't want to cook your steak too long. Wait till oil real hot, because I like to have the steak inside kind of in the medium and the outside kind of burn a little bit, so you're gonna have a nice texture to that. When your oil have enough temperature, it will nice and brown outside and tender and juicy inside.
All but a little of the oil was removed.
Put 2-piece ginger in it. Heat up your wok, and then put your onion and garlic in it, and brown them a little bit. Put rest of the ingredient back in it. Put your sherry wine in it, and stir it up. Let the wine taste get into it, and make sure you stir up the sauce. Put a drop of sesame seed oil into it. They look nice.
The seventh course of our banquet takes us back to Straits Cafe and Chef Chris Yeo. Not only is this a signature dish, but it sums up Singaporean cooking: barbecued fish in a banana leaf. Chef Yeo begins the all-important rempah with sliced lemongrass. Note to the left candle nuts. They act as a thickening agent and were soaked in water. After the lemongrass, sliced shallots go into the blender, then candle nuts. Blanched almonds or macadamia nuts can be substituted. White onion, coarsely chopped, is added, then whole garlic cloves followed by red jalapeno chilies. A little water is added to facilitate the blending of these wet ingredients. Incredibly, this was done by hand using a mortar and pestle years ago. It is one of the many examples of labor-saving devices substantially helping a restaurant chef, not to mention the home cook. Chef Yeo finishes the rempah with salt and sugar. At this stage, the rempah is often thickened by stir-frying with some oil. Since Chef Yeo is going to spread it inside the fish, it is used in its raw state here. He perfumes the mixture with a chiffonade of kaffir lime leaves. The fish of choice here is rainbow trout, backbone removed. A little salt will season. The banana leaf has been soaked briefly in hot water to make it more pliable. Foil can be substituted. The inside of the fish is coated with rempah and is a fairly classic example of what in Singaporean cuisine is called nanya. The name describes the female offspring from the intermarriage of Chinese men and Malay women years ago. It now is used to characterize what is basically home cooking. Usually this is grilled over charcoal, but Chef Yeo uses the griddle coated with a little oil. The chef flattens the packet with a spatula. They cook 3 minutes on the first side, are turned, and cooked about 4 minutes to finish. A reviewer for a national food magazine said that in San Francisco, there is no better fish dish than this. High praise from that seafood-loving city. The final entree is a dramatic affair from Chef Chu's restaurant in Los Altos, outside San Francisco. Chef Lawrence Chu sort of pulls out all the stops with this peon to the Chinese New Year. It's another dish using the whole fish, and it's called sweet and sour dragonfish.
What we're doing right now is sweet and sour dragonfish. You can use any type of fish. What we have here, rock cod. You can use a red snapper. You can use a catfish. And getting about a 3.5 to 4.5 pounds is the best. And I like a rock cod because it has a few bone in there. And you don't want to get into one of the pieces of meat that has a lot of small little bone in there. You don't want to do that. Make sure you scale it very well, nice and clean. Okay, the nice fish right here. Now, before you do that, you want to sort of make this fish tail look prettier simply by cutting here and then cutting here. You see that? Is that prettier after you cut it? So it's nice. When you present the dishes, the little things are important. Now, the first thing you do, you make sure you separate it, the body along with the fish, right in the neck right here. You can see they're separated already. You also remove this part. This can save for another dishes, set aside. That is the head right here. If you're right-handed, like me, you have to use put in from right here, the back of the fish, you make a slash. Cut all the way through, but not. First you reach the backbone, and then you reach the rib bone. So very important. The fish is like this: the backbone, the rib bone coming down. So when you cut it, you start to tilt the knife a little bit, so it can make it much better. You don't want it. You cut into the bone. Watch carefully now. Just go along the bone. Don't fighting with them. All the way through, and it stops right there. And it probably 1.5 inches from the tail. Stop, and just flip this back.
After filleting both sides of the fish, the meat is scored.
Right there. Crisscross pattern. Diamond pattern, some people call. And then this time you have a little rice wine, a little salt, that's all. You brush into the fish. So give a little flavor to the fish. Again, it is sweet and sour. That's for the flavor from outside. But it's ingredient itself, you're able to appreciate it in such a fresh fish. This time, just because we cut it this way, there's a reason for it. When you grab this one, you shake it, you can immediately tell the meat will fall back. That's the idea. Now, because you brush the flavor in there, you want to make sure the flavor is right in there. What are you going to do? You put it in the dust with cornstarch. Dust with cornstarch a little bit. You can see, could you see? So this dust cornstarch is trying to keep all the flavor right into the fish, that's all. You don't want to really put too much in there and shake them off.
The head is passed through a cornstarch flour batter and fried.
Make sure Your wok is ready. Make sure the temperature is ready. 365 degree, the normal deep fry temperature. You drip off all the batter. The batter simply is try to keep everything together.
Meanwhile, Chef Chu preps green bell pepper for garnish.
And I cut small pieces. Nice and green.
Other garnish includes chopped pineapple and maraschino cherries. Thinly sliced cucumber will garnish the plate.
Like a fish is still swimming. If you see the pattern, you can see 1, 3, 5. Go like this. Every other. This.
The body of the fish is fried.
All we want is a little bit of batter. So holding the fish together to get the extra crust outside. Okay, once going like this, it goes in a little bit first. And you make sure you stick, keep the tail straight. The oil temperature just right, 365 degree. Now hold this for a while because I like the presentation. The tail is such a way. And don't touch it. Once the fish start cooking, do not touch it. You know what happened? They become very, very soft.
Now, the sweet and sour sauce.
Sweet and sour sauce, I already made it ahead of time. It consists of a ketchup, sugar, vinegar, also plus some orange juice, some ginger flavor, a little salt. You have a little salt because that won't be sweet as a candy. That will balance flavor a little bit. Also, we'll have a 1-to-1, 1 part of water, 1 part of cornstarch, and become a cornstarch paste. It's like a thickened aging to thicken the sweet and sour sauce. The sauce should be just enough to put it on the fish, holding on the fish. That should stop. You don't want it too thick.
Fry the fish for 12 minutes till golden brown.
Now, when the sauce is terrific, you add a little more oil in there. Let me add a little more oil. Why? Because you give the extra sheen in there, nice and shiny. Make the sauce nice and shiny. Now, this is a lot of in cooking, we do a lot of cosmetic. Now, this is one of the things we do cosmetic. If the fish doesn't come out the way you want it, you can always break it a little bit. Make sure the way you want it. This is how we want it. This is how we want it. So we'll do it this way. Where you want to cover the way you do. Doesn't look too good. You cover it.
Incidentally, at Chef Chu's restaurant, a little red food coloring is added to the sauce. This is optional. Finally, the green pepper pineapple cherry garnish.
Pineapple. A little cherry. Red. Symbolize good fortune. That's how you give the fish a life. It's like you make a dragon. You want to make sure the dragon is life. The last minute you do, you put an eye on it. Ladies and gentlemen, sweet and sour dragonfish.
The feast finale is a little more interesting than fortune cookies thanks to James Liu, executive chef at Chef Chu's. He was born in Taiwan and came to the U.S. in 1984 to work with Lawrence Chu. Though desserts are few and far between in Chinese restaurants, this ingenious use of taro root is an exception. Chef Lawrence will commentate.
What we're having here is a taro roll. Starting with a taro. Everybody familiar with taro, but never have a chance to really see it. What kind of a flavor, how can we make the taro so delicious? Now, after taro, and we'll pick the taro, and then we'll remove the skin, and then we'll have an inside very smooth, almost like a potato kind of a texture. And after that, we'll have to steam them until this stage. And what we'll have after steam them, we're going to mix it with sugar. And while we're doing that, we're going to actually, in the wok, first we put the steamed taro, almost like a mashed potato, but it's a mashed taro. after taro being steamed about a half an hour. And then put the sugar in there. This is just a little sample. We'll give a little bit in there. Sugar in there. Oil is very important. Oil will make the sugar become candy. Right before the caramelize, the candy, change the texture. They were starting candy and the mashed taro become together. Right now you try to caramelize the sugar. Actually, before you caramelize sugar, try to melt the sugar right now. Just any sugar. Granulated sugar is fine. Mix well.
Sugar and oil are gradually added to the taro mixture. This is stirred constantly until it becomes glossy and translucent.
After we process, we stir fry, we mix the sugar with the taro. It took about half an hour to finish the whole process. And this is after that, and you put it in the refrigerator, it becomes in this stage. So you can play around a little bit, easier to handle. Now we'll set this aside. What we have here is a loaf of bread. You cut it, thinly sliced them. And this is very important. This is what holds the taro together. You use a very sharp cleaver. If you don't have a loaf of bread like this, of course you have a regular white bread, you can, just to cut a nice, trim off the side. You can use a regular bread as well. But if you use regular bread, very difficult to cut it. What was they going to do? The best way, you freeze them a little bit. You freeze them until the heart gets hard, and then use a very sharp knife to cut it. You want it as thin as possible. Now, watch carefully now. The chef is rolling into the little, almost like a sausage, right inside, and then a little bit, again, this is a flour and the water is like a glue, seal aging. Try it again. Roll it together. You have very light crust outside. Now everything you do is very light crust outside. You roll it together, they seal together. You see, after sugar and taro, after process for half an hour, they're all mixed together. It's almost like a Play-Doh, so very easy to control. So you shape it into a little sausage. It's right in the middle. You wrap it with a paper-thin bread. This is the trick, the paper-thin bread. It's not a wonton skin. It's not an egg roll skin. Taro is widely available in the Oriental market. If you can't get it, I'm going to just, have a mail. Actually, you can get a mail order for any Oriental market. We're going to cut it right in the middle into two pieces. We'll have a sesame seeds, regular sesame, raw sesame seed. First of all, you dip it in the egg mixture, the whole egg, and then you sort of lightly beat them a little bit, and they're rolling right into the sesame seed. So sesame seed is covered the opening. Chef's is testing oil. Make sure temperature's right.
The rolls cook at 365 degrees for 2.5 minutes. Remember, this is an electric wok, and the heat can be effectively controlled.
Look at that. They become light brown. In a matter of a minute so. And the beauty is they are so light. And then hardly feel any oil in there. That's because you had a very light, very thin bread that holds the oil, not getting into the taro. Also, this time the sesame seed, just about ready to finish the sesame seed to add another dimension to this dessert. When you take them out, make sure to drain well.
Although it will not be done here, the taro rolls can be sprinkled with powdered sugar for presentation. If you would like a video transcript of this show, send a check to the address on your screen or call 1-800-321-1499. The total cost is $18.90, including shipping and handling.